Hey everyone. So today we're going to do some basic server configuration on our 2012 server that we've been working on. So let me first start by bringing up Hyper-V. So I'm going to go down to the start square and just start typing Hyper-V and open up the Hyper-V manager. And then you can see my server 2012A that we made before is running. So I'm going to go ahead and right click and say connect to that. So what we're going to do today is we're going to check the time. So you can notice in the bottom right corners of my screen here, in my time zone, it's 3:05 right now, but on the server, it thinks it's 1:05. So we'll check the time, set the time zone. We'll also set the server name because we set it in Hyper-V, but we did not set it inside the OS. And then we'll do an IP configuration. So we'll set this to static IP. In earlier videos, I had said I was going to do an internal network on this, which I did, but still I want to give it a static internal address. Internal private address. So let's start with the time since I already pointed that one out. So if you go down to the time and you right click on it, there's a adjust date time. So go ahead and click on that. And let's see, so it says it's Pacific time, and that's the problem there because I'm actually in Central time. So let me just hit the change time zone and drop the box down and find Central time US. That's what I'm at, and hit OK. And you can see now the time does match my machine 3:06. If you had to adjust, if there was some other problem, you could hit this change date and time thing here, and you could manually change the time itself. But since mine's correct, I'll go ahead and leave it alone. And I'll hit OK. So we have that one done. So that was an easy one. So let's look at the other stuff on the server now. Let's hit the local server over here on the left in Server Manager. So you can see now the name of this server actually that Windows gave it when we built it was this win blah 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 random number here, and I've named it SRV-2012-A. So that's the name that I want to go with. You can also see the Ethernet down here. It says, assigned by DHCP, which is just the APIPA, the built-in address. I'll show that in a second. But let's go ahead and do the name of the computer first. So this one, if you just click on computer name, it'll bring this up, the system properties. You can also go to the start menu and go to system, and then you can go to this change settings right here for computer name. But so we're in here, so it brings you to the same place. So on this computer name tab, the first one, I'm gonna hit this change button to rename the computer or change the domain. Hit change, so and it asks for that computer name, and this will require restart. So we'll do that too when we're done. But we'll name it SRV-2012-A. I'll leave it in a work group right now. We'll do some domain controllers and domains later on in future videos. I'll hit OK. And it says you must restart your computer. So let's go ahead and say OK, close it, and we'll go ahead and restart it now. It only takes a second for this since it's a virtual to restart. All right, so there's my login. Let me log back in. Whoop. Let me make it a little smaller so it's easier to see here. All right, so let me give this a second to load up. So now if we go to local server, we can see the server name is what now matches what we have in Hyper-V. So let's do the Ethernet now. So you can click on this, but let's do it the other way. Let's go ahead and close this. Let's open up a command prompt and check the IP. So if you right click on the start square, they have these command prompts here. So let's go ahead and open command prompt admin, and we'll do ipconfig/all, and that should give us our networking information. So you can see, let me scroll back up here. It's got my host name, my computer name that we just changed, my MAC address, etc. So you can see the auto config IP4 address, the APIPA name address that it gave it was this 169.254. But I may want it on a certain one. So let's go ahead and right click down here on this network card and say open network and sharing center. And you can see no network address, which we expect because I wanted this to be an internal that we're going to do some testing on. But I'm going to go ahead and over here to the left and say change adapter settings. Click on that, and you can see the Ethernet card here. I'm going to double click on this one, and then they have different details here. So if you hit the details, you'll see those IP addresses and everything. But let's go ahead and close that and go down to properties here on the left. So when you're in the Ethernet properties here, you have your one for IPv6 and IPv4. I'll go ahead and uncheck IPv6 because I'm not looking to set that information. And then I'll click on IPv4 here and hit the properties key because I want to set that. And you can see it was just set to DHCP to grab an address. But since I don't have a DHCP server, it's just grabbing that built-in type of address. So let's just go ahead and set this, and I'll say we'll put it on a private. So I'll say like 172. Whoops, my number lock must be on. Let me go back. 172.16, and we'll make this 5.5. And then same thing, we'll leave the default subnet mask. So we know 5.5 is the host that, this host, and 172.16 is the network. And we don't, since I'm not routing this out, I'm not going to define a gateway, and we don't need any DNS, so I don't have to resolve any outside names or anything. So we'll just leave all that like it is. I'll hit OK. If you did need those, if this was going to be an external or routable thing, you would have to define gateway and stuff, but we're keeping this internal, so we'll just leave it like that. Close, and then close this. So now if we go back and close all these things and do another IP config all, you can see that it's got my IPv4 address there and my subnet mask. And the others, of course, since I didn't define them, there is no DNS or anything. But that's it. That's just a very simple, basic server configuration. In future videos, I'll set us up a DHCP server, and then we'll be able to use a DHCP server to assign some IP addresses. That's it for this video. Thanks.